Hello and welcome to another episode of today's Conversations on Leadership, powered by Life University. I'm your host, Dr. Gilles LaMarche, and I'm thrilled today to have with me a lady who's got an absolutely beautiful past in the world of business and who currently works in Alpharetta. But let me tell you a little bit about her. Deborah Lanham. She served as president and CEO of the Alpharetta Chamber of Commerce since January of 2020. In this role, she leads a business organization of more than 400 members. Deborah is a high-performing business executive with varied career in sales, marketing, and communications, and has worked for a number of U.S. brand giants. She holds key industry connections in education, government, film, entertainment, media, technology, healthcare, financial services, food and beverage, telecommunications, and nonprofit organizations. So you can tell that her background is varied. So she brings to you, our audience, a wide array of expertise. She's a skilled collaborator and obviously a skilled influencer. She gets people connected to opportunities across many business sectors. You'll often hear her say, the mission is to drive business growth, but my passion is to build partnerships. And that's why she's with us today, to build a partnership with all of you that get to learn from this lady. Deborah is married to Steve. They have 3 grown sons, 4 grandchildren, something sort of else we have in common. I've got 3 kids and 5 grandchildren. And she lives in Milton, Georgia. Deborah's also, in addition to all this expertise she has, she's also a musician and a songwriter. She enjoys collaborating with other artists on various projects. So it's my pleasure, Deborah, to welcome you to today's Conversations on Leadership. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much, Dr. LaMarche. It's so great to be with you all.
So let's get right to it, because as I said to you earlier, about a 15-minute time we spent together, and I know you're going to bring a lot of nuggets to our audience. But can you talk to us about the people that impacted Deborah, the people that allowed you to become who you became in the world of business, in the world of personal relationships, and in the world of leadership? Who are these people and what impact did they have on you?
Well, I think we can all say during our years of education, those leaders, those teachers, those professors that had impact on our lives. And certainly it started there for me as a young child. I just knew that I looked up to my teachers and I listened carefully because, in some cases I wanted to be just like you. And through the years, of course, when you're out into your career and you start to discover the real world, and not everyone takes the time to explain things thoroughly and to answer the questions. And I had lots of questions. I think that's probably why I learned a lot through the years and enjoyed the learning experiences. But, yes, I can look back and see those educators and those pastors and people in my life that had influence. In the corporate environment, I quickly found myself into these brand giants like Hospital Corporation of America and Burger King, working in regional offices, and discovered how competitive the world is, and that if we're really going to be successful, we got to compete. And that means even next to me, the person sitting in the desk next to me, I'm going to compete with you, even though we're on the same team. So I learned some valuable lessons. But fast forward into moving our beautiful family here to Atlanta. We're from Michigan originally and had 3 boys in Detroit. And we moved down here and been in this market for 24 years. It's hard to believe. But I had the pleasure of getting to know the local Chamber of Commerce, and it's a big regional chamber here, and spent some time, was hired, worked there. And I can honestly say in those 7.5, almost 8 years at this regional chamber, there was a gentleman by the name of Brandon Beach who had incredible impact on my life and my work in terms of success and learning the industry. And the reason he did and had such influence is he gave me room to do what I do best. And that's to be creative and innovate. You mentioned the fact that I have the musical background, and that just explains who I am. I'm very creative. And the fact that he gave me the ability to learn the work. And of course, I had already come in as a seasoned professional, but to learn a new industry. Chambers of Commerce are very different, and we have great impact in our communities And so anyhow, I just look to him and think of all the opportunity he gave me. I would go into his office, for example, and I would say, I have a great idea. And he'd say, let me hear it. And I'd share the idea and he'd say, you know what? If you think you can do this, I'm going to let you go do it. And after the fact, after the event, after the impact, he would come to me and say, I didn't really think you could do it. And you did. And it had tremendous success. And so we just became a great team. And I just thoroughly loved the work, which is why I'm still in it. And it was a step for me to be a part of this now Alpharetta Chamber of Commerce.
So what I hear is that Mr. Beach used trust and gave you that trust, allowed you to, I guess, basically spread your wings. So what did it feel like for you to be given that level of trust by your superior? And how did it contribute to you being allowed to spread your wings so well?
Well, I felt definitely more connected, that I was a part of the team, that actually I was a partner in this, that I wasn't so much a subordinate as much as I was a partner in the business now. And I love that feeling. And the pressure I put on myself was that you will not fail. You're going to do this and you're not going to fail. And so it really provided the momentum. And I was already excited, already thought it would be a great idea. But the bottom line is, what revenue opportunity was that for the organization? I knew I couldn't lose money on it. I knew also that I wanted to have impact. In fact, this was a women's event. This was a women's program, and wanting to be able to, no one was doing anything in our market for women on this scale. So bringing women together, not only to network and connect, but celebrating women, the accomplishments of women. So we combined these kinds of ways to celebrate and provide even awards, and then also bring women together and connect on a variety of topics that were important to women. So we enjoyed great success with that program, and it would never have happened had I not felt the support of my boss. And he gave me the room. He gave me the room to explore, and always appreciate him for that. And in many other ways, the connecting and the collaboration in that work environment was really special.
You know, beyond the gift of trust that Mr. Beach gave you, can you think of another gift maybe along the way that he gave you? You said trust and support, but was there something else? Because usually when a leader gives you like a specific gift, which to me the gift of trust is a huge gift, they usually give you a few others along the way. Can you think of another one that?
Of course, and very quickly, because all of us like to be complimented. I think we all feel, if we know that we've done a job well, and it's recognized. I didn't need it recognized on a stage, but the fact that there were compliments and way to go, it didn't have to be much, but just a way to go, you did it, great job. You know, first thing, going down the hallway and passing my office and poking his head in and saying, great job. I mean, that goes a long way. And it's taught me as a leader to be sure to compliment and, make a big deal out of even small wins.
I'm glad I asked you that question, because I love your answer. I get to live my life that way. I've got an amazing team of people that I get to work with every single day. And not a day goes by that I don't walk by and talk to everybody that I can interact with in our offices and recognize them. And with really heartfelt recognition, right? You knew that he really meant what he was telling you. So great advice to give to our leaders listening in today. So let's go into our next question. What are the most important decisions that you make as a leader for your organization? Now, knowing that you're at the chamber, what are some of these important decisions that you make, and how do they impact your team and the organization as a whole?
Well, and you have to make those decisions. And I remind myself when a decision is laying there on my table and or my desk, and I need to move on it. No one else is going to do it if I don't. So you have to make those decisions. I think we all learned a lot during COVID. I came in as the new CEO in 2020, January 2020. All these ideas, things that we wanted to take off and accomplish. And then we were faced with some decisions. Who else was going to make these decisions about shifting to online and moving our events to virtual events and putting a team together to help us make that happen. I didn't have a lot of training in Teams meetings and other products that were out there for us to use. And of course, we all know Zoom so well now and it's easy, but when I think back, we weren't doing a lot of that in our organization. So here we go. Those kinds of decisions. But yeah, I make some decisions. I have a board of directors that I lean to as well. It's important for our board to hear some of the important decisions that need to be made. I want their ideas and their feedback. And so decisions, for example, we've entered into a partnership with the city of Alpharetta. That was a big one for us in 2021 to have an economic development initiative that we could take on and have it funded by the Development Authority of Alpharetta, which is our city here, to help market the downtown. But we created the whole brand around it. And so we made decisions. I made the decision that we did want to enter into this, but I invited my board to weigh in and to give us ideas on what we thought we could do and how we could be successful. And then I made the decision to hire the marketing company. Again, you're providing the information and all of the background that for example, my board would want to know and hear, but ultimately I'm the one making the decision. So you do feel a bit of that pressure, like, again, I say to myself, we can't fail. We're not going to fail. And maybe that's a little too much pressure, but that motivates me. It helps me stay focused. And so those are some of the decisions we make. We've entered into this partnership. It's a 3-year partnership with the city of Alpharetta to help brand and promote downtown Alpharetta, not just all of Alpharetta, but the specific downtown where there's plenty of restaurant and retail, and it's exciting. So we're turning the corner into the new year, and that's of course at the top of the page of things that we'll be focusing on in our accomplishments in 2022.
And what I heard you say, not in those exact words, but that a leader must be willing to ask for help and ask for support. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because some leaders think they're supposed to know it all and they're supposed to make all these decisions by themselves. But you alluded to the fact that you lean on your board, you bring them some information, you wait for feedback, you're willing to ask others. How important has that been in your career to be willing to ask for help when necessary?
Well, you have to, and that's something I'm learning as a leader as well, because that same professional that went after creating events at another chamber, you want to do things in accomplishment, and you kind of sometimes feel like when you travel light, you can get there a lot quicker. When you put the backpack on and you start adding those elements to the backpack, it gets heavy. So I've tried to get a lot accomplished and not to have to involve a lot of people, but I'm learning as a leader, the feedback's tremendous. It also gives you some security because other people have weighed in and you didn't make the decision alone. I think it can be a very lonely place as a leader. And then you get very isolated if you're not willing to talk out some of the decisions you do need to make and get a little bit of feedback and some support from your board. It frees you up. You take that pressure off and you don't feel like you've got the weight of the world on you.
So we had a very, very brief conversation before we started recording today, but you look like the type of leader who is pretty much hands-on, willing to just do whatever it takes to help your team make it happen. And I know that in our conversation, we talked about, you just pick up the phone. The phone rings, you actually choosing to pick up the phone and have conversations with people. So as an organization gets larger, there can often be a tendency for sort of the institution to dampen the inspiration, to not feel as excited, as inspired. So how do you keep that from happening at the chamber?
Well, you brought up the fact that I pick up the phone, and I do. I have a phone on my desk. I have a cell phone that's dedicated to the organization, and I am always amazed and grateful that I was there at that moment to pick up the phone and answer it, because who is on the other line? And it's not always someone saying, hey, I'd like to join your chamber at the visionary level, which is our $10,000 level investment. No, it's the person who's living in an apartment and they've experienced water damage and they don't know who to call to get support for the replacement of flooring and walls and all kinds of, and you could say in the moment, I really don't have time for this, but I'm going to make time for this. This is important. You can hear the voice on the other end of the line that they're stressed. Yep, they're hurting. And you have the opportunity to be a hero in that moment. And you don't think of it that way in the moment, but when you realize the calls that come after and the thank yous and this, it just, it really touches my heart. And it just doesn't stop there. We get a lot of calls from people who are making tough decisions about moving with a spouse who's now experiencing dementia into assisted living. And they're calling to get ideas of where they could potentially live and what does Alpharetta have to offer. And so you hear it in the voice that they're in a transition in their lives. And so you're doing what you can to bring not only some kindness and empathy, but then also some real, great answers. Like, here's who you call, here's some resources. Can I send you an email? And that's why you pick up the phone. And that keeps me grounded in why I'm doing what I'm doing, and that I am no greater than any other person in this role. We are all in this together. And that really does, like I said, keep me grounded.
You obviously give me the impression that you're a woman on a mission, and that you live by a high set of core values, obviously, and very mission focused. So why don't you share with our audience the mission of the Chamber currently, and how you help the entire organization stay mission focused with the values that you have?
Our organization is to be certain that we are creating a strong economic development community, prosperous business opportunities, and making those connections for not only our members, for the businesses that are in Alpharetta. We are very mission focused on making sure that through our resources and our work as a Chamber of Commerce, that our business climate stays healthy. We are blessed to be in Alpharetta. It's very important, though, that even through what we've all seen with COVID and the struggles that we're having now with labor issues for our especially retail, restaurant, hospitality industry, they've really been hurt. And we're all feeling that impact, but that's our mission. Our mission is to ensure that we have this strong business focus, and that we provide the businesses within our market those resources and tools to improve, to create their business plan, to improve their strategy, and then to also be able to have a hand held through the halls of City Hall to know that if they're building and they need some support to reach certain individuals at the city level, we can help them with that. We have, like you said earlier, we just have contacts all over our community. So here to help. And that is our mission, is to strengthen the business community.
Well, thank you for that. And you've shared some great insights with our audience today on leadership, things that they could, take to task and make happen maybe differently in their organizations. Any closing comments for our audience today, Deborah?
I just haven't met any of you, but thank you so much for the opportunity. And I just wish you all well. And I just want you to know, one thing I'm entering into 2022 with is to have a greater sense of focus. There are a lot of things that come at us and we try to get it all done. And I'm just really going to be spending time and working on focus, and not to lose that focus. We talked about the mission, but just stay focused. And I'm exploring that and what that's going to look like in the new year. But I'm excited about that because it's so easy to get off track. And I want to stay very close to what we want to accomplish this year, which is a lot. And I'm excited for it. But this has just been a pleasure. And, they say on their scripture that talks about the fact that people perish without a vision. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to bring that vision forward and to encourage people to get on board, because without it, they're just running around in circles. And so that focus and that vision is what we will be working on this year. And I'm excited about what's going to happen. So
a little something for me on a completely personal note right now,
yes.
Because I've observed that beautiful sunflower behind you during the duration of our encounter. So did you paint that?
I did. And that's another tip, leaders need to take some time for themselves. And that was a sip and paint. So I enjoyed a little vino and painted a sunflower.
So for me, I said on the personal note, my youngest niece was one of the passengers on Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 that crashed on the 10th of March in 2019. and her favorite flower was the sunflower.
Oh.
She was 25. She was the director of a program for the United Nations, was, valedictorian of her class. And what it brought me to, when I was paying attention to you talking and seeing the flower, thinking of Stephanie, she would always say, all we need to do is be kind and to spread more kindness. And the sense that I had from you today is that that's the type of leader that you are. You're a leader who chooses, even though you're focused, you got to get the job done. You're a leader who chooses to spread kindness and recognition and show support and validate people around you. So I thank you for the message, but throughout this 20 or so minutes, I had a lot of subliminal message coming from you because of that beautiful sunflower behind you.
What a story. And through tragedy, this has warmed you today. So thank you.
Yes, it absolutely has. So thanks again for joining us. And I look forward to meeting you personally. I'm going to go, I'll make a plan with Angela, my teammate, to go and visit you at your office in the next couple of months. I'm not going to see you in the next couple of weeks, but in the next couple of months, I'll make sure that we get together and continue to do good for our communities.
Dr. LaMarche, my pleasure. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in the future.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.